Are you trying to get your life together and you just have no idea where to start? There are 5 healthy habits that you need to focus on before you can do anything else. If you want to get better at anything, or if you just want to feel better on a daily basis and show up for your family, for your friends, at work, then these 5 habits are the number one thing that you need to focus on. Okay, before I start today, I have a confession. And that is, I really want to spend my time teaching you like the super cool ninja mental skills. But the truth of the matter is, we really need to start with the 5 basic healthy habits that you need to get right so that you can be good at the ninja mental skills. You can't be a mental ninja with super perfect concentration, superb memory, and impeccable emotional and physiological regulation if you aren't getting the basics right. And make sure you watch to the end of this video because I've got an offer for you that will help you start working on these healthy habits today. Okay, you probably want to know what these 5 healthy habits are. And so here they are. First, you've got sleep, diet, and then you've got physical activity, and then we've got social connections, and then we've got learning new things. And before you hurriedly click away because you're thinking, duh, Laurel, of course we need to get these things right, hear me out. A lot of people are talking about very similar things for a reason. And do you know what those reasons are? I'm going to share some facts with you on what happens when you don't get enough of these 5 healthy habits. And hang in there because it's about to get dark for a minute. But we've got to shed some light, no pun intended, on the consequences of not working on these healthy habits. Let's start with sleep. When you don't get enough sleep, you run the risk of increased blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, a weakened immune system, and then cognitively, you'll start to see issues with memory and concentration, and the most obvious one, you're going to struggle with mood regulation. You're also way more prone to accidents. There's tons of news stories about how sleepy drivers ran off the road or caused some major accident. So sleep has a lot of negative consequences if you don't get enough of it, and enough good quality sleep. Actually, according to the CDC, 1 in 3 people do not get enough quality sleep. And nearly 40% of adults report falling asleep during the day unintentionally. And despite all the known positive benefits of physical activity, approximately 28% of people worldwide aren't exercising or moving enough. And in the United States specifically, only half of the population is meeting the nationally recognized guidelines for physical activity. With diet, despite all we know about the needs for healthy diet, and there's tons of information that tells you what you should be eating, what you shouldn't be eating, there's lots of guidance out there. But despite all that, issues related to poor diet are causing 17 million deaths a year and over 160 million years of life lost globally. Both are global numbers. So when you're not taking care of yourself from a diet perspective, it has major consequences. When it comes to social connections, that's just as important too. As early as April of 2023, so this year, 17% of Americans, that's 44 million people, are still struggling with loneliness, which increases risks of depression, anger, emotional regulation issues, amongst several other mental health issues. All of these negatively impact well-being and your ability to thrive. Lastly, when you don't challenge yourself or stimulate your brain, that can have consequences too. You run the risk of cognitive decline occurring earlier in life than it otherwise would. It means an increased risk of memory loss, self-awareness, and situational awareness much earlier in life than if you were doing those things. So the reason everybody is talking about healthy habits and trying to encourage more healthy habits is because when we don't work on these healthy habits, there are significant impacts and consequences on your life. Now, many experts have their opinion on what the healthy habits should be. If you Google healthy habits, you're going to get 10 healthy habits over here, 74 healthy habits you should have right now. There's lots of options out there and lots of guidance out there. I'm here to tell you that based on my research for my PhD and just on this topic, because I care about this topic a lot, there's really 5 healthy habits that you need to get right. And that boils down to 3 at the very, very baseline. if you get these 5 right, everything else gets a lot easier. Let me explain it to you in a model. So if you think about it in terms of a pyramid or a triangle, with the bottom being the foundation, then the 3 that you absolutely need to focus your attention on or prioritize are sleep, diet, and physical activity. And then once you get those right, then you can start looking at social connections and learning new things. And the reason those 3 are at the very, very bottom, fundamental habits that you need to work on and get right, is because if you don't get your sleep right, or if you don't work on your diet or move your body, then it's going to be harder to make new friends or work on your social connections, because you won't have the emotional regulation ability to do it because you're tired. I mean, think about it. When you're grumpy or you're hungry, then you don't want to socialize, you want to eat or you want to sleep. And so you have to get sleep, diet, and physical activity right first so that you can do the next 2. And that includes learning new things, which physical activity helps grow neurons in your brain, which then when you learn something new, you attach the information to those neurons. So those are the 5 that you absolutely need to spend your time on. But when you really get started, it's diet, sleep, and physical activity. So I'm going to start a series on these 5 habits, and we're going to dive into each one individually over the next few weeks. And then after that, we're going to go into goal setting, where I'll teach you the mechanisms of setting goals that you'll actually stick to and hold to, which is perfect given the time of year that we're coming up on January. Everybody makes New Year's resolutions, but half the time they don't stay past January. So these goal setting tips are going to help you set goals that will stay throughout the year, and you can actually see the changes you're looking for. We've got a lot to talk about, is the bottom line. So make sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of the new stuff that's going to be coming out. Okay, on to the offer that I talked about earlier. To get you started, I created an ebook that breaks down the cognitive benefits of all 5 healthy habits that we started talking about today. And on top of that, I've added tips, tricks, and strategies that you should start thinking about and start working on in order to build a baseline of good habits. And then the first chapter is actually a quiz. And the quiz is going to help you gain some self-awareness on where you're at with each habit right now. And if you're going to follow along in this series, I highly encourage you to take the quiz so that you can have that self-awareness on how you're doing in each of these areas, so that you know where to set your goals and what to work on. So I've got it linked right up here. You can go get a copy today and start working through the material and also take the quiz. It's not super long. The whole ebook's only 16 pages. That's light reading. So the first thing we're going to cover is sleep. That'll be up next. So I'll see you then.